Hello everyone, Reginald Scott here, and today's video, similar to the video I did about my own bike, is about this bike here. And this bike actually is my wife's bike, but there's more of a story behind this bike than just that. So let's have a closer look and I will explain to you all the finer details of this bike. So this particular bike is a Litespeed T5. And this one is in custom painted white colour. This is something that Litespeed started to do, when was it? Well, we're in 2020 now, it would have been around 2018. I was pestering Litespeed personally to start painting their bikes because I noticed a lot of the titanium manufacturers out there who are not as good as Litespeed were painting their bikes, and I said to them, you know what, you guys should really offer that as an option. And I managed to get them to agree, and so they started offering these custom painted bikes. Now this one was the second one that they ever made. The first one they made was a blue T1 SL, and that was actually for one of the owners of the Litespeed company, and this was the second one to roll off the production line in white. And originally this bike was intended for two purposes really. One was to be my wife's bike, but the other was to be part of the very first Brunei National Bike Show. So Brunei had never had a national bike show before. I wanted to display some of our shop's bikes at that bike show, and so I ordered a Litespeed T5 in custom white that I was going to build for the show. And then afterwards, obviously, I made sure it was my wife's size so that then I could give the bike to my wife. So the custom painted thing, as you can see, half the bike is painted white. So when you're sitting on the bike and you look down, it looks like a white bike. And then behind you have the raw titanium finish. They've actually improved the way they do this now, because this was one of the first ones they ever did. There's kind of almost a bit of a step in the paint finish here, which I think I'm probably going to try and cover with some kind of lacquer just to protect that edge at some point. Whereas now it's kind of more faded in, there's less of an edge as their production technique has got better, because as I say, this was one of the first ones they ever did. They've also changed the way they do the writing, so this is actually the real titanium of the bike showing through the paint, and what they did was put like a lacquer over the top when they sprayed it, so that's the actual titanium showing through the lettering. Now what they do is they spray the whole bike white and then they paint silver lettering over the top of the frame. So this one is a really unique frame because it's done completely differently to how, if you ordered one of these custom frames, you would get it now. Actually the new one is more like this. So this is the carbon fork, but this is the silver embossed lettering that they actually do on the fork. You can see that this bike is dirty. It has been used. So apologies for showing you a dirty bike. What else can I tell you about the frame? So yeah, this frame, as I say, was it's a custom Litespeed T5. It was built for the first Brunei Bike Show. And as I say, I intended it as a secondary purpose to be my wife's bike. So I built the bike for her. It's a size 50 top tube, so it's an extra small frame. It has the traditional T5 head badge on it. Let's see now, there you go. So the T5 comes with an actual titanium head badge, which is welded to the front, and that one is engraved and painted as well. As you can see, Litespeed titanium. As I say, it's a little bit dirty, the bike, unfortunately. And the Litespeed T5, which is what this is their Gran Fondo bike. So this is a bike designed for all-day comfort. for long distance riding, which is perfect for my wife because I wanted her to be comfortable when she's out riding. She didn't choose anything about the bike except the colour. She was the one who suggested a white bike, so that's what we went for, and everything else was kind of designed around that. So it's a very comfortable frame. Got a little bit of give in it, so it really absorbs that red vibration. I've ridden a Litespeed T5 myself, obviously a different model than this. This is far too small for me, and I found it to be the most comfortable bike I've ever ridden in my life. It really soaks up the vibrations. I remember I took it to a park where they have bricks as a path around the park, so like a brick path, and I rode that T5 around that brick path, and the bricks were uneven because they were actual bricks, so they were laid into the ground and then cemented underneath and everything, and the bricks were like this. They were uneven as you rode over them, but I couldn't feel the unevenness of the bricks because that bike was so comfortable. So it is a really great bike for long distance, but because it's a Gran Fondo bike, it's designed to be sort of somewhat competitive. It's also quite stiff in the rear end. Down here you can see that the chain stays quite thick. They're curved and ovalized, and they're also asymmetric, I believe. So when you do put the power down, you don't lose too much of that power. You've got a nice stiff back end in order to transfer the power from the crank to the back wheel. So that's pretty much most of what I can say about the frame. It is just a very, very nice titanium frame. I know that painted titanium is not everybody's cup of tea, but I think this bike looks really, really good, and I've seen some other painted bikes as well by Litespeed that look fantastic. If you want a painted bike from Litespeed, especially if you're in Brunei, come and see me, but if you're anywhere else in the world, you can get these. You just have to go to your local Litespeed dealer and order one. And you can actually get multiple colours as well. So I've seen a few out there that have got stripes through them. So it will start one colour at the front, then it will fade into another colour, then it will fade into another colour, and then it will become the frame, just the plain frame, which actually has no finish on it whatsoever. That's just raw titanium, because titanium doesn't rust or corrode, which is great. I've seen a really nice one in black with a nice thin red stripe. I say thin, about that wide, just running down the rest of the frame. So it goes black, red stripe, titanium. It looks really, really nice. And I've also seen one that's almost in Bruneian colours. It's yellow, red and white, I think it is. Very, very nice bike. If I find some pictures, I'll post them up for you. So moving on from the frame, as I said before, it's got a carbon fork, and attached to the fork and the back triangle in the dropouts are the wheels. Now the wheels, I specifically chose them for two reasons. Number one, because they have these light coloured hubs. These wheels are spline hubs from DT Swiss, as you can see. So very nice DT Swiss hubs. As they are quite good wheels. I would say they're mid-range for the DT Swiss range. They are the, let's find the lettering on here, PR 1600s. There we go. So they are the PR 1600 splines. They're a 23mm rim, I think that is. Is that right? Yeah, 23mm. So not super deep, but fairly sturdy. And very reliable aluminium wheels, obviously, with a nice aluminium brake track, and as I say, a very, very pretty, attractive sort of silvery white hub, just to kind of match the theme of the bike. And if I give you a little sound check on the hub, they look really fantastic, as you can see when they're spinning. It's a modest sounding hub. It's actually the 18 tooth ratchet that DT Swiss are using, that one, and that can be upgraded. The ones in the bike that I have over there are 36 tooth, and you can actually upgrade them to 54 tooth, and the 54 one sounds a lot more aggressive. I actually spin the wheel on my bike so you can get an idea of the difference. Sorry about the junk lying around the house. as you can see, there's a big difference between my wheels and her wheels, and that's just the difference between the 18 tooth and the 36. And if you think that sounds good, you should hear the 54 tooth. The 54 tooth literally sounds like an angry hive of bees in a jam jar. It's really quite potent. Let's go back to the T5, because that's what we're talking about today. There is a video on that bike over there if you want to go see it. I'll link it below or link it in the video after we're done. So what else to talk about? So they're the wheels. They're quite lightweight, but robust, reliable wheels, and as I say, a decent hub on them as well. So really perfectly suited for the kind of riding I'm expecting her to be doing. Those wheels are clad in a set of, obviously handmade in Germany, Continental hard gator skin hard shells, or gator hard shells, in 25mm. As you can see, come on, focus. There we are. And the reason why I chose these tyres, 25mm obviously gives us the opportunity to put a little bit of less air in them to make the ride even more comfortable for her. They're super grippy, they're all weather, they're very hard wearing, which is great because I have no intention of changing her tyres regularly, and I don't want her slipping or sliding on any wet surfaces on the road when she's out riding, because she's not a very confident rider, so I wanted to give her as much confidence and grip as possible. And you can't go wrong with a set of Contis, really. They are fantastic tyres. And the other thing about these, they're not particularly light, but in fact they're what you could describe as quite heavy, but they are very reliable tyres, and they're very high puncture resistance. And there's a story I can tell actually. When I first started dating my wife, back when she was my girlfriend, we went for a bike ride together on a bike that I'd made up for her, and I put a new set of Schwabe town tyres on this bike that I'd got her. And my wife rarely listens to me, so she decided she was going to cycle in an opposite direction to me to get to the same location we were going to. So unbeknownst to me, she basically detoured and went down an underpass. And in that underpass, I knew there was a patch of glass, and I shouted a warning to her as I saw her disappear down this underpass, and I guess she must have run straight through the glass, because when she eventually turned up at the meeting point, which was about 4 or 5 kilometers later, she had 2 flat tires, and she'd ridden the full 5 kilometers or 4 kilometers with flat tires, and she hadn't noticed. She had no idea that she had 2 flat tires. Those 2 tires were completely ruined because obviously the weight of her body and the bike on the rim of the wheel had basically like cut into the flat tire, because the tire had no air in it, so it had completely flattened on the ground, and then the rim was just biting into it. So those new tires were completely ruined. I wasn't best pleased because she didn't, listen to where I told her to go, and she didn't follow me. If she'd have followed me, there wouldn't have been a problem. But there you go, that's my wife for you. She's very independent. So I put these gator skins on in the hope that if she does run through some glass or something, she's not going to completely ruin the tyres, and she's not going to be riding around with completely flat tyres. Although nowadays we do tend to ride together, so that's at least one bonus. Moving on from the wheels and the tyres, having a look at the saddle. This is a Physique Luce R5, I think it is. Let's have a look. I should have it's an R5. So this is the base model ladies saddle. Should be able to see in very faint writing there. It says Luce, I think, somewhere on there. It's almost impossible to see actually. But basically, this is the ladies' saddle from Physique, designed in conjunction with professional riders, sportswomen, and everyday female riders as well. Got a nice cutout there, a little bit of texturing on the top, the Physique logo, and as you can see, all the piping and the Physique logo is in a kind of a gunmetal-y grey or silver colour. This is a custom saddle. We had this made specially for this bike. So we had white to match the frame, and then obviously silver lettering and silver piping to match the frame as well. So that saddle was built and made specifically to go with this bike, so that's really nice. And my wife does complain of pain quite a lot. This is the larger of the two saddles that you can buy. This is the ladies large. My wife does complain a lot about pain when she's riding because, as I say, she's not an avid rider. So I did everything I possibly could to make it comfortable for her. So, as I say, 25mm tyres, titanium frame, nice large ladies saddle specifically designed for women's comfort. Hopefully it's enough. She has two white matching bottle cages, as you can see, from BBB, and she also has matching white bottles somewhere. Don't ask me where they are because she often loses them. For some reason she insists on taking her cycling bottles to work with her to transport tea and coffee and various other drinks that she makes, which I don't quite understand because she's got a plethora of other containers and fancy drinks bottles that she buys, but for some reason she ends up using her cycling sports bottles. So where her white bottles are I don't know, but she does have a pair of matching white bottles to go with it. The group set is 105, obviously, because, you know, it's a great group set. It's the starting lineup for, you know, the decent Shimano group sets. It's a fairly competitive group set, and it's not too heavy as well, and it's 11 speed, of course. She's got 1130 on the back, which is a good bunch of gears for getting up the hills, and on the front she's got a 52, not a 53 standard, and not a full compact in a 50. It's a 52. It's what I call a semi-compact. The reason why I went for a 52 1130 is I wanted to make sure she had a good bunch of climbing gears if she needed them, and obviously the slightly smaller chain ring and the slightly smaller inner ring helps with that. However, she is a very strong person. She's got very strong legs, she's got good muscle definition, and when she trains, like if she goes to the gym or something, she gains muscle mass and strength really easily. She'd have been a great bodybuilder if she wanted to be, which she's not. But basically she's got very, very strong legs, so I wanted to take advantage of that. She can push quite a heavy gear. I didn't want to give her a full standard group set because I didn't think that that was necessary, but I thought, you know, I'll give her something close to a full standard, and then at least she can take advantage of the slightly smaller ratio and the climbing gears when she needs to, because obviously, like all beginner cyclists, she complains about the hills. But when she's on the flats and she wants to go fast, if she does want to go fast, she's got the bigger gears there as well. So I thought that was a good choice for her. Yeah, a great matchup there. What else? Flat pedals. Yes, she does use flat pedals. Again, she's not a confident rider, so we're sticking with the flat pedals for now. I would love her to transition to some cleats and some nice shoes, maybe even white shoes. But at the moment, she's sticking with these flat pedals. So wheels, saddle, group set. Oh, seat post is Physique R5. It's a aluminium seat post. Very attractive, actually. It's a very nice looking seat post, as you can see. Plenty of easy adjustment on there with her saddle, and also it's got a silicone ring around the top here that just stops water from going down into the frame. That's not really necessary, to be honest with you. This frame is pretty impervious to water, and there's actually a drainage hole underneath the bottom bracket, and the bottom bracket in here is a BBB PF30 to 24mm bottom bracket, and it's completely impervious to water because it's a screw type. So there's an actual tube that runs from one end to the other inside the bottom bracket shell, so any water coming down inside the frame cannot get onto the bearings or spindle. It just passes straight out the drainage hole at the bottom of the frame. So it's really, really well protected against water. Pretty much water cannot get in there. I wanted something that was going to be smooth, stiff and low maintenance, because again, it's my wife's bike and I didn't want to have to be continuously maintaining it. I wanted her to get plenty of mileage out of it before it needed anything like that. The DT Swiss hubs are very low maintenance because of their 18 tooth ratchet, and as I say, the hub, the bottom bracket is very low maintenance as well. Obviously you've got the 105 caliper brakes as well, nothing special there. Oh, you can just see the Made in America rear facing badge just through the hole there with the Tennessee flag. made in Tennessee. Very, very nice. That's another little addition to the Litespeed frames that you get. Moving across the top, let's see now, we've got a Cane Creek headset, which is a very, very nice headset, to be honest with you. This one is pressed into the head tube, so it's, you know, semi-integrated if you like, and a tapered fork as well. So it's smaller bearing at the top, bigger bearing at the bottom. We've got these cable lugs here for the shifting. This one here is actually loose because these ones can be unscrewed from the back and removed completely if you decide to get an electronic group set. So we've got some rubber bones down here then you can put into these ports here and plug these holes up if you want to get rid of your mechanical shifting. But I've just noticed that one is there's a little bit of a give in that one, so it needs tightening up. So it's something I've got to do from the inside of the frame with an Allen key, but it's not a big deal. What else? Yeah, actually something interesting about the bottle cages. These BBB bottle cages, these plastic ones, they weren't gripping the bottles well enough. These are the older generation of BBB cages. The latest versions, which I have in the store now, are much better than these. The advantage of these is you can basically remove the bottle from any side, and they're very easy to get your bottle out of and in. So I selected them for my wife because obviously she struggles to balance when she's reaching down, and I'm still training her how to drink while she's riding. But just to add a little bit more grip when the bottle is finally seated into the cage, if you can see here, there's actually rubber bungs there and there. So you can actually see them from the back where they were drilled in. So what I did is I drilled a hole in the cage and I inserted some rubber bungs that I actually took from my collection of rubber bungs for sealing up the electronic holes in the frames. So I have a whole bunch of these back at the shop. So I added some of these rubber bungs to the cages just to increase the grip on the bottle, and they're very effective actually. And I hid them in the style of the bottle cage, you know, with this black patch here. I drilled the hole there so you wouldn't be able to see them. So I think that was pretty clever, and it worked out quite nice as well. There you go. Oh, another little feature is this bolt holding in this seat tube collar, seat clamp. That's actually a titanium lightweight bolt. You can actually see all the way through it. There you go. It's completely hollow, and it's a titanium bolt. Now that is an upgrade on the bike, because when I bought some titanium bolts for my bike, I had 2 of those, and obviously I didn't need 2, so I put one in my wife's bike. So she's actually got a nice, very expensive upgrade there, little titanium bolt, which makes all the difference to her bike. Makes it considerably lighter. The total weight of this bike in a size 50 frame in 105 with all aluminium components and wheels, and a very beefy bottom bracket, weighs in around 8 kilograms. I think it's about 8.2 kg, which I'm very happy with, because I had a lady's bike in the shop the other day, which was the ladies' version of the Specialized Tarmac in carbon fiber, and that had a 105 group set, and that one had flat pedals, and that one had aluminium wheels, cheaper wheels, and it also had a similar, you know, grade of saddle with an aluminium or metal rail, and yeah, aluminium bars and stuff. So basically it was the same kind of bike, except that frame was carbon fiber, and a 105 group set. And that bike weighed in at 8.4 kg. So my wife's is 200 grams lighter, so I'm quite happy about that. Maybe it was the titanium bolt that did it. So basically, you know, competing with Specialized and the Specialized carbon bike, this titanium bike, even though it's painted, is lighter. So there you go. Moving up to the handlebar, she's got a Physique Snake, Kairano R5 Snake on here. Snake bar. So you have your Arione saddle for Physique, which is on my bike, and that's the Snake saddle. This is the Snake bar that I've got her here. It's about the shape of the bar. So the bar is a lot longer on the ends here. It's more sort of a traditional bicycle bar shape. The Chameleon is more of a compact bar. To be honest with you, I'll be switching to one of these. If I ever upgrade my bar, I'll be switching back to a snake, because that's my body geometry is more like a snake. So there you go. She's got a few headset spaces in here. Let's see now, this is a 10 and that's a 5, so she's got about 15 millimeters worth of additional spaces there, just to raise the bar up a bit, to make it a bit more of an upright riding position, again for comfort. She's got a nice high position on her hoods as well, again for ease of use and comfort. She doesn't have any problem braking in the drops, but she doesn't like to go into the drops. She likes to keep her hands on top of the bars. The stem originally for the bike show was an 80mm physique stem to match all the other physique components on the bike, but this one is a BBB stem, if you can see. There we go, there's the BBB logo on the top. And the reason why it's got a BBB stem on it is because the 80mm stem that was put on originally was a bit too long, so I shortened it to a 70mm stem. And rather than put an expensive physique one on, I just substituted one of these BBB ones. It's a little bit cheaper. So that's one thing that I did. Yeah, let me think. Is there anything else I'm missing? Oh, the bar tape on this bar is obviously physique, and it's the same bar tape that I use on my bike. It is the white physique classic touch bar tape in 3mm thick. It's a nice chunky, lovely feeling grippy bar tape in white, obviously. It's just the nicest tape I've ever had, really. I really like this tape. They don't make it like this anymore. It's a slightly different design for this year, but you can still get the same texture or the same leathery feel. It just doesn't have the same physique logos on it that it used to have. But this is the one from previous years. So yeah, very, very nice. Have I missed anything? So I've done grip set, bottle cages, saddle, seat post, stem, bar tape, wheels, tyres, frame, bottom bracket. That's about it. Oh, there's an adapter clamp on this frame just here. That's also made by BBB, just to hold on the front mech there, or the front derailleur. Yeah, that is about it, folks. So that is my wife's bike. Thought I'd just show you around. She's a beauty. Now she calls it, oh, come on, can I remember? Pute something. She calls it the white one, basically in Malay. Pute in Malay means white, so she named it the white one. But I forget exactly the term that she uses to call the bike. It's not a very inventive name, but you know, I came up with loads of other things. I came up with like Casper the friendly bike and all this sort of thing, but she just went for the white one. So there you go. That's her bike, and hopefully tomorrow morning she will be riding it. That's the plan anyway. She's doing a late shift tonight and I'll be picking her up later, but hopefully she'll have some energy in the morning to come out with me for a little ride, because we've both got a day off tomorrow, and hopefully the street should be fairly quiet, with everybody socially isolating. Anyway, that's the bike. If you have any further questions about it, or you want to know anything about the individual components and parts, or you know, you want to get yourself a Litespeed, just let me know and I can give you all the recommendations. These are great bikes. I've got a few customers that ride the T5 and they've all come back with absolutely shining reviews about how the bikes feel and how the bikes handle. You know, whether they be just leisure riders or whether they be competitive riders. I've got a few guys who even race on T5s and they absolutely love them. You know, people have traded in some pretty, you know, famous named carbon bikes in exchange for these things, and they don't seem to look back, so that's really good. And you know, Litespeed do make phenomenal bikes, they really do. So I'll just show you a few more close-ups before we go, just in case you haven't had enough of a look at the frame. Obviously, you know, the bike changes in personality and style depending on what components you want to put on it and what you want to stick on your frame. Obviously a frame will look very, very different depending on the colour choice, but basically this is the the T5 frame as it comes. The one above this bike is called the Ultimate. I actually sold a really nice custom frame painted Ultimate in Mazda Soul Red. Absolutely gorgeous looking bike. The Ultimate is the Litespeed titanium aero frame. It's actually got an aero down tube, a square top tube, aero seat stays. It's a really cool looking bike. And then obviously the one above that is the T1 SL, which is over there in the corner. As I say, there is a separate video on that bike, and that is my bike. If you would like to see that video, just ignore all the mess of my cycling gear over there. So there you go. Thanks for watching, and as always, stay safe. I just realised I forgot to show you something. She has matching sunglasses and helmet as well. So these ones have got, you can put different lenses in these glasses. These have got the sort of afternoon / early morning yellow lenses in them at the moment. But these are BBB Summit sunglasses in white and silver. Again, to match the bike. I mean, you couldn't get a better match if you tried, could you? White, silver and black, that's everything. And of course, a BBB Phoenix helmet, quite an attractive looking helmet. Nice and lightweight and nice and well ventilated helmet, but in white as well. So to match the white bike, everything's got to be white, everything's got to be white and silver. So yeah, very nice. These come with a black sunglasses shade on them. Lens, and they also come with a clear lens as well. So there you go. And the matching bottles, if we can find them somewhere. Alright, thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next video. Let me know in the comments if I missed anything, or if you want to know anything, or if you just want to make a comment, please feel free. You know, something I very rarely say is click to subscribe, click notifications, but everybody else does that, so why not? Okay, so if you want to subscribe to the channel and you're not already subscribed to the channel, please do so, and please give suggestions about what more you want to see. Thanks for watching, stay safe, bye.